Hi there YouTube, XtremeTrainz here. In front of me you can see two random Thunderbirds items that I didn't know existed until I saw them in a discount store literally yesterday when I was shopping and just having a browse. So we're going to take a look in this video at the Thunderbird 2 and 4 launch and go toy things. Anyway, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. So although the Thunderbird show is still going, the toys have pretty much disappeared off shelves. They were quite popular when they first came out and they shelf formed very hard. I think they kind of fell victim to over ordering too much stock at once and then they couldn't clear it out. So you can see here what these little things are. The little launcher sets, which I think is kind of interesting and cool. Thunderbird to go up, blast off from the launcher. You can see the details there. You can turn it over. You can see I bought this from TK Maxx, which is an Australian discount retailer that kind of gets like the seconds of stuff. Kind of hard to explain, but I think it's like Ollie's in the US. I think is the name of the store, where it's like, you know, I think stuff that's end of season gets sent there and then they sell it at a discount. So you can see here the recommended retail price of this is $7, or $6.95, which I did a Google search for these once I'd already bought them and found that yes, some online toy stores and on eBay they were selling for, you know, $6.99. So the true price is $7, even though I've never seen them in stores before. However, I got them for $3.95, which I think is pretty decent. What's really interesting is that it says here on the packaging, collect all four. I looked in the store and they only had these two here, so Thunderbird 4 and Thunderbird 2. They didn't have Thunderbird Shadow or Fab 1. But then when I looked online, all the toy stores in Australia that I could find also only had listed Thunderbird 2 and Thunderbird 4. So I think potentially this was like a second wave that just never got released in Australia, because I couldn't find any evidence anywhere of them having ever been on shelves. So I think I've only been able to collect the two. Anyway, you can see here, so they are 2019, so they are new toys. They are toys from last year that are new, which is interesting because, as I said, most Thunderbird toys are kind of stopped being produced and stopped being sold, in Australia at least. But yeah, that's what they look like. You can see them here. And then what are we waiting for? Why don't we get them out and take a look? So the first thing I want to look at is these tiny little Thunderbirds. So you can see here, this is the Thunderbird 2, and it is really, really nice. It is all plastic, but it does have this metal roller on the bottom, which is interesting, along with two plastic wheels. But you can see you've got all the important details for Thunderbird 2. You've even got the tiny stubby little wings, which have made it even stubbier on this version. Interestingly enough, there was about 3 of these sitting on the shelves where I bought them, and I checked all of them. This one was the best painted, but they all had kind of dodgy painting on the top, so I'm not quite sure what that is. Obviously, it's like actually paint. It's not like the transfers, which I think are used on, for example, Thomas Wood and the Thomas Minis. Speaking of size, just to show you how small this actually is, here is a Thomas Wood Thomas. You can see that's the size there. And if we come over here and grab a Thomas Mini, you can see just how small this is. So it's much smaller than Thomas Mini, although interestingly, it's about double the weight of a Thomas Mini. This is one of the new, you know, not weighted Thomas Minis. So this one is definitely heavier than that, which is interesting. So you can get a size. That is what the little cute, adorable little Thunderbird 2 looks like. We can come to the Thunderbird 4. The Thunderbird 4 to me is a little bit less cute and adorable from some angles. I think from like this angle, it looks a little bit weird. From the front though, you can kind of tell what it is. And then definitely from the side, it looks like Thunderbird 4. You've got all the important details. Again, you've got massively oversized engines. Which is interesting, but I think that's just so that the launcher has something to press against. Printing seems a bit better on Thunderbird 4 for whatever reason. And then you've got the metal roller, which again, yeah, I think is actually, yep, it's a bit smaller than the one on Thunderbird 2 for whatever reason. And also then you've got 2 plastic wheels at the back. So these little Chibi, I think is the name of the style of these rescue vehicles, I think is super duper awesome. I really like it. It's super cute. I'm a big fan. I would love to collect all Thunderbird vehicles in this kind of scale. I reckon if they did Thomas and Friends stuff in this kind of scale, like minis, but kind of like, you know, they'd be a hotcake seller. You know, there's just something cute when you compress the proportions of things in this kind of way, which I think is really, really nice. So that's that. Let's now take a look at the launchers, which is, you know, a lot of what you're paying for. I thought these launchers were going to be like spring loaded or something, that, you know, they would like, you like have to kind of put it in, but no, they're just manual. So it's just one of those ones where there's a spring that pushes it back up. So the harder you press it down, the more the little vehicle is going to go. There's no clip mechanism. It just falls out. It doesn't click in. It just kind of slides. And then what you just do is, if I move this out of the way, you just have to press that and make it go. Obviously, it just means that, you know, you do need to press it pretty hard. Like if I just go, that's all that's going to happen. So yeah, the launch is a little bit uninspiring. I was kind of expecting a bit more of like a spring-loaded mechanism so you could like shoot it off, but instead it's a bit more human force, you know, done, which I guess is fine, I think, because it just means that, you know, depending on how hard you press it will dictate how far they go, and this one is the same. They both have the same design, it's just a different color, and as per the box, you can actually clip these together, and they just clip together like that, which does mean you could race them, I suppose. You could do like a... let's see how we go. Won't be a very scientific test of which one is actually quicker, because I don't think I'm going to be able to press them both with the same amount of force. Let's say 3, 2, 1. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that's the play feature. That's pretty much it. They roll pretty nicely. They're not super smooth, but I think that the weight that comes from that front wheel means that once you get them going, they do kind of want to keep going, but then also stop. So they roll quite freely, but because of that weight, they do tend to kind of slow down. Although it definitely seems to me like Thunderbird 2, yeah, rolls better than Thunderbird 4. Thunderbird 2 definitely is a bit more loose, bit of a loose unit, this one. So you can see that that's what these look like. Yeah, amazing. All right, so what do I think about these little toys? I was not expecting to see these at all, but I'm kind of glad they did, because they're super cute. I think that by and large, these styles of toys are a bit take 'em or leave 'em. You might not like it, you might love it, especially if, you know, it depends if you like this kind of caricature style of toys or whether you prefer them to look more realistic. Personally, I like both when they're done well. And I think individually, these little caricatured crafts are done really, really well. It's like, it's obvious what they are, but they're cute little proportions, and I just think they're super adorable. To me, the launch was a bit disappointing. I would have liked it to have a spring feature rather than a manual press, just because you can't really get that much oomph out of them. Given that, you know, you can only press it that far. Additionally, I think it would have been good if there was some kind of clip system. So you could like clip these in or store these on here somewhere. Because these seem like the kind of things which kids would love to, you know, take with them to the park or something and like, you know, shoot it down a slide or whatever. And it just seems like, you know, we're waiting for them to get lost because they don't kind of, you know, clip together. Like, you know, if they could clip onto the back somehow or something, I think that would have been really good. So that way you could, you know, I want to take Thunderbird 4, and you could just clip it in, take it with you, you know it was going to be all there, and then you could unclip it, play, you know, race, whatever, clip it back in, and you'd be sweet. So I think that's a missed opportunity there they could have done with this design. And I guess then the last question is this worth the asking price? I think for $4, yes, you're getting a value. You know, when you think about it, Thomas Mini is about $2. This definitely weighs more than Thomas Mini. Whether you actually think it's worth more is probably different, but you do get a whole lot more plastic in this launcher, and you do get like a proper play pattern. So I think for $4, these are actually pretty reasonable and what I would kind of expect to pay for something like this. I think $7 is a bit much given the limitations I've just talked about. But again, I haven't really seen these in any toy stores. I've only seen them in online toy stores in Australia. So yeah, that's my review of the Thunderbird Launch and Go, Thunderbird 4 and Thunderbird 2. Make sure you let me know your thoughts about these ones. Do you still watch Thunderbirds? I must admit, I've only seen the first season and half of the second season with the mechanic. But I actually think it is quite good. It's definitely one of my, like, you know, top 3 reboots ever, because I think they've done a really good job of it. I just love watching it. They've done, yeah. I think that was really a case where the people who are creating that show really love the original and really do a lot of work to pay homage to the original in really wholesome ways, and I really, really like that. I think also, as you know, if you've followed my videos, the toys are actually quite good that were released. They just had a bit of a problem with some of them, the pricing and the compatibility of things. So I'm sad to see that they have not really produced any more, especially not a supersized Thunderbird 1, which is what I was really hoping for, which is a shame, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, Thunderbirds are aside. Let me know your thoughts about these toys here or anything else you want to talk to me about. As always, do those cool things on YouTube. But that's all we've got time for. This is XtremeTrainz.